Hello, today we're going to be breaking down Diogo Pato versus Diogo Reis, two of the best guys in the world at their weight class. Now, this match ended in an injury, but there were a bunch of interesting sequences leading up to that, so we're going to be taking a look at them. So first thing we see is Pato comes out right away, jumps close guard, and immediately he's going after the K-guard entry. He uses this sequence a lot because he can count on the top player standing up to open close guard, but then as they do that they always open themselves up to the leg lock game. For this entry, Pato wants to swing his outside leg around and connect to the other person's legs. And here we're going to see that on top, Diogo Reis is actually doing a good job of stopping that outside leg from coming around. But Pato is able to explosively kick his leg free, and now Diogo on top has to spin to avoid getting caught up in the leg lock game, but it means he gives up top position. And this grip on the elbow by Pato is pretty important because it means that Diogo can't scramble up immediately. Now we've got Pato on top in his favourite passing position, right leg lead in this Nika or split squat. Diogo is going to try and disrupt this by bringing in this butterfly hook, so now Pato has to base on the mat and backstep to get back to his dominant passing position. And now he looks for the body lock right away, but how he sets this up is actually really subtle. So as soon as he finds himself back in this split squat, he's going to take his right hand to Diogo's left foot, push that past his body, that brings the knee down, which opens up that space to shoot the body lock. Diogo manages to off balance with the butterfly sweep and get on his side, which eventually leads him to sitting up, and from here he underhooks Pato's leg and looks to stand up, but Pato takes his hand slightly higher up the back, allowing him to crunch Diogo back down to the mat. And in the process of all of this, Diogo is able to get his lower knee back inside, so now they reset to a split squat once again. Okay, so that's only 40 seconds into the match, big pace from these two, and now Diogo tries to invert underneath, and somehow Pato is just going to teleport into a leg lock. So let's take a look at that. Pato stands up and clears the foot from his hip, and then backsteps to match Diogo's inversion, and then because Diogo has inverted so much, they end up in this north-south type of position.
Diogo was trying to spin under and get to this position where his hips would be directly under Pato's, but because Pato has matched the spin with a backstep, now Diogo is kind of out of position.
From here, Diogo has his knee as a frame and then the foot on the other side of the body, and then he's going to extend his leg to try and catch Pato in a leg lock. But Pato uses the extended leg as an opportunity to enter an outside heel hook himself. But Diogo does a good job of spinning to alleviate pressure, and then he starts untangling the legs and building up to free his knee. If he wasn't able to spin, like here because of the leg blocking, then he wouldn't be able to free his knee and he would probably get submitted. With the knee being free, there's no threat of the heel hook anymore, so Pato tries to wrestle up instead. Diogo turns in to face him, which stops the wrestle up, and now they end up back in this position, which is almost like a single leg X. And then from here, Diogo is immediately controlling the feet, which means that now he can dive for his own leg lock. Now it becomes a leg lock shootout, but neither seems really concerned with the situation, and it becomes kind of neutral. And that's until something key happens. So let me explain. Right now, Diogo Reis is going for this butterfly Ashley footlock position. To really threaten the submission, he needs to bring his other leg over and threaten going belly down. But Pato's attacking that leg, so he can't. But Pato also isn't controlling Diogo's legs, so the threat really isn't real. This changes now because Pato is going to start attacking the butterfly hook. He starts pulling it up towards himself, and what happens here is that he started to control above Diogo's knee, which means there's a legitimate submission threat. And because of this, Diogo is forced to defend, which means Pato can now take top position. So this is like we just talked about. When you have control of the knee, that's when you're most dangerous in the leg lock exchange. And now they end up back in the split squat, which is crazy that Pato's able to just get to his favourite passing position from everywhere. From here we see Diogo using the 2-on-1 on the wrist, and Pato's response to this is bring the weave grip in. And the weave grip is going to kill Diogo's ability to get his legs back out and use them offensively. For example, watch here how the lack of a weave grip means that Diogo is able to retract his legs and upgrade his position. Also note the position of Diogo's knee. Right now it's inside Pato's shoulder. Now Diogo sits up to go on the offensive, and Pato comes up with him and posts on his shoulder. And now watch the position of Diogo's knee. It's outside of Pato's shoulder. The knee has gone from inside the shoulder to outside the shoulder now, so Pato can go for this tight waist body lock type of grip. He then changes it to this kind of reverse body lock grip where the hand is now blocking the legs across the waist. So Pato drives forwards and he's past Diogo's frames. Now Diogo manages to get a half guard back, but he's really not in a good position. His arm is trapped, and Pato's knee is almost free, so Diogo chooses to base upon his elbow and go for this kind of octopus guard position. This guard has been recently popularized by Craig Jones, and it can lead into some nice sweeps, but instead of having his left arm over Pato's back, he has it under his leg, so now he creates this space behind his elbow that Pato's now able to jump his leg behind.
And here the reverse body lock grip from earlier combined with the legs behind the elbows creates this weird inverted back control position.
Yeah, I don't even know what to call that. Anyway, Diogo's going to start untangling the feet, and then Pato's going to use this opportunity to feed a leg through, and now he ends up in the saddle. So Diogo starts rolling to escape, and during the roll, Pato's going to transfer the foot to the other side and look for the outside heel hook. And then from here, Diogo's going to roll to escape, and they end up rolling off the mat and have to reset.
It's easily overlooked, but it's really interesting why Pato switches to an outside heel hook here. By turning and rolling to escape, there's no longer a threat of the inside heel hook. And with the inside heel hook leg position, there's a greater threat of counters. Now don't get me wrong, they can still spin and escape the outside heel hook too, but there's a greater chance that you're going to get the submission because at least you have a hold of a heel to begin with. And with the outside leg positioning, there's less threats of counters.
So here's an example of this switch working. Owen Jones enters initially with the inside heel hook leg position, and then as the person spins to escape, now he switches it to the outside heel hook for the finish. Alright, so after all that excitement, now the pace starts to drop a little bit, and Pato is going to choose to play guard. One of the main things that we're going to be looking at now is Pato's constant use of this 2-on-1 grip. By attacking this lead arm, it really prevents Diogo from getting deep into a pass. Diogo has to respect this grip because Pato can either attack an arm or use it to elevate, as we'll see in a second. So it's kind of hard to see because of the angle, but Pato starts with the 2-on-1 and is able to use that to off-balance Diogo and then enter the leg lock again. And here we have an example of what happens when Pato loses the 2-on-1. It means that Diogo's lead hand is now free to reach up the body to try and finish the pass. It also means that now Pato is completely on the defensive for now and has to take that knee shield leg, extend it across and invert to retain his guard. And see here, once he's fully dealt with the pass, he's immediately trying to take the 2-on-1 again. And then right back into it, another 2-on-1 but on the other side. And that's actually a pretty interesting grip break from Diogo using his head. I won't keep repeating myself, you probably get the idea by now, but every time Diogo tries to enter Pato's guard, Pato is just getting that 2-on-1 straight away and it completely kills the passing opportunity. So then Diogo decides fuck this and just goes for this crazy diving pass. And Pato gets a leg lock and then we end up in a similar position that we've been seeing this whole match. But this time it's slightly different and it gives Diogo the chance to go for a really good counter. So before we were talking about how this outside heel hook position is good because it gives you a direct bite of their heel. But here you'll see that Pato is slower in bringing the foot across, which gives Diogo more time to counter. And that's some horrible torque on the foot, I don't know how that doesn't break. So this is the last sequence we'll look at, similar to what we started with, back in closed guard. Diogo tries to stand and now Pato enters the legs, but instead of a K guard, he ends up in almost this like underhook delahiva, but it's also not really that. I've seen him use this position a lot, but it's also one of these positions that it seems like he's the only person who really plays it. What he's trying to do is bring the person's knee to the mat, and he's doing this by bringing the foot across his body by turning the elbow here, and then at the same time he's curling with his leg, trying to break the person's knee down. So now the knee touches the mat, and Diogo's response is to try and go for a counter toe hold again, but they end up in like this half turtle position which allows Pato to try and roll for the back. So sensing the back exposure, Diogo is going to roll over his left shoulder and he's trying to get his back flat to the mat. So Pato is going to try and follow Diogo, and now it becomes a battle of hip position which Pato ends up losing. So let's take a look at that. So for this type of back take, you want your hips underneath the other person's. Look how both knees are pointing upwards here. This means you can use your legs to control the other person's hips and elevate them more. And then from there you can use your hands to climb up the back. And just to reinforce this idea, here's Tyrotolo doing this back take as a counter to a leg lock. So look at how the position of the knees allows the hands to come into play, and then he's able to move to another position. So back to the match. As Diogo rolls, he pushes Pato away to create space, and look what that does to Pato's hips and knees. They're more horizontal than vertical, which means he has no control over Diogo's hips, and now he can't bring his hands into play. Instead, he has to settle for trying to scramble up on a body lock.
Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope that was somewhat useful.
If you have any matches or athletes you want breaking down, just let me know in the comments. Bye.